Hello, everybody, and I am Bill the Adjuster here to help you how to file your own insurance claims. And if you live anywhere in the Northeast, Carter, you probably just experienced the nor'easter that came in. We have snow and lots of it. So, how you can do your own snow claim? A lot of things happen from snow. It can be really heavy. It can blow in through your ridge vent. It can cause interior damage. It can collapse stuff on the outside. And this happened to be a pretty heavy snowstorm. Already seeing some signs of small building collapse and some awnings and stuff. Swimming pool collapse is one of the most unusual coverages out there. Above ground pools tend not to be able to handle the weight of the snow on top of the cover. There's a really crazy part of the policy where it is excluded if it collapses from the weight of ice and snow, but it is covered if it collapses from the weight of snow. So I know that's a little picayune kind of difference there, but if you report your claim that your pool collapsed from the weight of snow, you'll generally have coverage. But if you report that your pool collapsed due to the weight of ice and snow, and the important word there is and, there is an exclusion for that. So keep that in mind. If your pool did collapse from the snow, don't be all creative and add the word ice, because it probably would cause you a creative denial. Small roofs, buildings, and sheds, they come down quite often. And this falls under what we call the collapse provision of most policies. And generally the collapse due to weight of water or weight of snow does cover building structures. Sheds tend to be relatively weak structural buildings and will collapse, especially if they're like next to some trees and a lot of that snow cascades off of a tree after it starts to thaw or melt, lands on the shed and collapses the building. The collapse can create quite a decent amount of damage. It's not just the shed, it's the stuff in it, the water damage, the rebuilding of the shed, the utility connections, the possible ground issues or the foundation that it's attached to, or it can be more than just the shed itself. Sheds are a lot different today than they were 20 years ago. Often sheds that are damaged that are, say, 20 years old are not even available today. We generally have to go with a constructed structure to sort of match the quality of what you had. The carport is the famous one. A lot of carports on smaller buildings. We live in an area where there's a lot of neighborhoods that have lots of carports to protect from hail and sun. These cannot handle the weight of snow, especially if another roof sheds their snow onto them. But collapsed carports are covered. Unfortunately, the automobile underneath is not covered under the homeowner policy. It's only covered if you have an automobile policy. But the building itself, the issue when a carport collapses is the damage it also creates potentially to the main structure. So it may tear off the fascia boards, it may cause or scratch the siding on the house, may pull down additional gutters, or create interior water damage. But often it's related to what it hit on the way down that creates the complications or the larger parts of that claim. So ice damming is what really creates the interior damage. Now, granted, snow can blow in through a ridge vent, cause a little bit of interior damage, especially the storm we just had. It lasted for hours and it was very windy. But what generally happens is the diagram on your screen, and that diagram shows the water that kind of trickles down your roof all day and then freezes all night. And it creates this dam of ice that's really thick, and you'll see the icicles hanging. If you have icicles hanging from your gutters, it's very possibly that you have an ice dam. What that ice dam will do is when the sun comes out, starts to melt some of the water or the snow on the roof making water, it'll come down the roof and not have the ability to get through that big block of ice. That block of ice is holding the shingles open, which will then allow the water to run backwards into the roof, creating water coming in on the perimeter of your house, generally around the gutter lines. If you have water leaking in your house around the gutter lines, odds are it's an ice dam. Not much you can do to stop it while it's happening. You just need to remember a few things. Protect your property from further damage. It's almost impossible to break the ice off. You'll generally create more damage to the roof if trying to do it. Throwing up ice melt or something to that effect will actually cause damage to the roof as well. So protecting your property from further damage is the best you can do generally, until that ice is completely melted on the exterior surface. The bummer about an ice damming claim is generally the contents will not be covered. So if personal property is getting damaged from an ice dam leak, we call this an all-risk loss. If an ice dam leak is occurring, only the building structure is covered under most policies. They would be your HO3 all-risk kind of forms. There are special forms out there that are known as an HO5 comprehensive policies that do pick that up. They're not all that common. So for the most part, your personal property, your sofa, your mattress, bedding, things like that are not covered. Only your building, which is your drywall, your insulation, your paint, your carpet, your hardwood floors are covered. So be very careful and make sure you protect any of that personal property, as it's probably not going to be covered. There is a big difference on a commercial claim. Commercial claims generally do not cover what we call roof leaks. They have a provision in the policy on most commercial forms that says the interior of the building is not covered unless the exterior of the building is first damaged and an opening is created by a covered peril, usually wind. Unless that interior water damage is coming from the thawing of ice and snow. And the reason for this is that the ice and snow builds up beyond the levels of the flashing systems of the roofing. Therefore, when it starts to melt and leak into the building, it really was beyond the design of the building where the water entered. Therefore, it is covered under a special form commercial policy. But again, roof leaks themselves generally not covered, even under a special form commercial. But if you do have thawing of ice and snow, you will have coverage for the interior of your property with a special form policy in the commercial world. So I would say go out, make some snow angels, enjoy the snow. For the most part, you're covered. You should be able to do your own claim. If not, you can always reach out for some additional help. So if you like what you heard, you can share it on Facebook, any of the social media platforms you have. We offer a complimentary webcast, communications, annual policy review. You name it, we'd be glad to help you. This is Bill the Adjuster, and if you have any questions, you can ask the person that invited you to watch this video, or you can email me directly at smartclaim@metropa.com. Thanks, everybody.